I don't know if you guys seen this, but there's a forecast saying that the ETF for XRP is going to attract 8 billion of inflows next year. So you can imagine what kind of impact that may have.
I think of it this way, even for companies that are saying, let's deregulate, turn us loose, let us do whatever we want. At the end of the day, yeah, that may feel good in the short term. You may be able to figure out how to cut a corner here and make a little more money. But understand, the reason our stock market is so valuable is in part because it has level, transparent rules that are strictly enforced. And you start to weaken that, and in the short run, you may make a profit, and that guy over there. But how many other people say, you know what? I don't think that's where I want to invest my money. I think I'm just going to slow down on how much of my wealth, my energy, my time, my talent I put in there.
The CEO of Crypto.com talking about we should be entering a period where altcoins vastly outperform, and the altcoin on his mind, you got it, XRP, stating that an XRP ETF may bring in $8 billion of additional inflows to this asset. If we get even a fraction of that, new money flowing in, it's going to be downright epic. It's going to happen. We're going to get an ETF this year, and in the midst of an altcoin, which should be an alt season, it's going to be crazy. Now, you had Elizabeth Warren complaining that the current makeup of the SEC is not bipartisan enough. This is from an individual that used the SEC as her own personal little puppet, where she would, write Gary Gensler's not only the questions for him, but the answers he would give. It's just outrageous. There was nothing bipartisan about the SEC when she was calling the shots. She's absolutely nuts. And further, she talks about, well, people may look at this and say, this isn't a fair deal. We're not going to invest our money. And that's what happened with entrepreneurs. They said, you know what? This is nonsense. We're taking our business overseas, offshores. That's what her regime did. This is a new era for cryptocurrencies, and it's going to be amazing. Doesn't matter what she has to say anymore. She ain't in charge. Now we see this. I haven't saw the video yet. Wanted to record mine first so I don't just steal all his ideas, but the modern investor saying XRP is going to $20 a coin and it will terrify everyone. I can't imagine the meltdown. If we see XRP hit $20, people are going to go nuts. Now, people know where I'm cashing out a good chunk of my XRP at, and that's not because I think that's the top. Modern investor may be absolutely correct. I'm cashing out at a price I think we will hit easily, but leaving some to the side for that upside potential. And, I've been on both sides of this coin. 2017, I remember looking at XRP thinking, all them coins, 0.6% is probably vastly, overpriced. And we saw what happened, not just with XRP, but the crypto space in general. People thought maybe a $5,000 Bitcoin would be tops. If we could get that, that would be amazing. And just the crypto space in general vastly outperformed. Then last time around 2021, well, it's the flip side of that coin. Not only did XRP fail to hit a new all-time high, Bitcoin did not break the 100,000 barrier. Which one do we get this time? Where crypto outperforms most people's expectations or underperforms? Only time will tell, but I have seen both. And I'll tell you, $20 a coin is not out of the question. It's not out of the realm of reality. That's for darn sure. And we may see that type of performance. We see GameStop getting ready to raise $1.3 billion to buy Bitcoin. It was announced today that they are going to hold Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And I think that's great. I think companies should do that. I don't think they should be raising capital to buy a very volatile asset. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you're making profits, you want to take a percentage of that and hold it in crypto, for the currency risk. And, if you're holding a large amount of cash, it's devaluing over time. It makes sense. Just like countries or institutions hold gold, fine, hold some Bitcoin, hold some crypto. But this is kind of gimmicky. This is like they're trying to be Michael Saylor 2.0. If you're going to raise or borrow capital to invest in Bitcoin, I don't know if that's the greatest way forward here. Eleanor Terrett saying the Senate has just passed the CRA to nullify IRS's DeFi broker rule for a second time with a vote of 70 to 28. So look how the pendulum has shifted pro crypto by a landslide here. And, we want to have sensible rules, sensible regulations, but when you're just trying to kill cryptocurrencies, when you're trying to kill new technologies like DeFi, that's unacceptable. And it's good to see this making progress here. Matt Hogan says now is the best time in history to buy Bitcoin on a risk adjusted basis. So, yes, the prices are higher, but, a lot of risk has been taken off the table. I'll take that a step further, though. When you look at the altcoin space, prices are pretty low for a heck of a lot of risk with that, Genza regime being shown the door. Like, there's some good value out there to be had. Now, if you're buying XRP now, you're paying quite a bit more than you were in the past. But when you look throughout the altcoin space, there's a heck of a lot of deals out there. And I think there is great risk adjusted value because, again, we went from an environment where everyone was being sued, you didn't know what would be allowed, and now it's time for people to really go out there and build the future with these blockchains. And I think there's fantastic value out there for the crypto investor. Now, a lot of people are making a big deal about this. USDC, Circle's stablecoin there, it was approved as the first and right now only stablecoin in Japan. They partnered with SBI, and people are like, why isn't this RLUSD? Well, I suspect this took Circle a long time to get approved. I mean, they're the only stablecoin approved in the Japanese market, according to this post here. And so they probably have been after this longer than RLUSD has even been around. I mean, that is a new offering, a new stablecoin, and the day will come, I'm sure, when it's also approved for the Japanese market. I mean, think about it this way. It's not just going to be USDC in Japan. There are going to be other ones. And if RLUSD continues to grow and meets whatever requirements Japan has, I'm sure it will be approved down the road. SBI, they want to do stuff with stable coins. Of course they're going to do a deal here. It's the only one that's been approved. It doesn't mean they don't like Ripple or they don't like RLUSD. It's just sensible here. And again, I think it's just a timing thing. RLUSD is just still very new. It'll take some time there. Someone asked me, you know what? I'm holding XRP, but I'm puzzled why the price is not higher. And of course, that was a big event with both sides settling. Probably that, announcement that was already baked into the price of XRP, but I don't think it's effects because you're going to get an ETF approved. It's cleared the way now. You're going to get new institutional investors, possibly up to $8 billion of inflows from that. Plus, Ripple can go enter the US market and start doing a lot of stuff. Builders in the US market can do so with confidence, not worried they're going to get sued. You can't bake that stuff into the price of XRP. And I think at this point in time, look, we're above $2 for the longest stretch in XRP history. We've never seen something like this. We're at the perfect spot to really launch out of here. And I think we're just waiting on the crypto market to turn bullish and to go back into a growth phase. And what we do know now is we are farther away from the bear market doldrums, and we are closer to the next major altcoin season. I don't know if that happens tomorrow, a month from now, 6 months from now, but it's going to get crazy here in this asset class. And when that happens, XRP is going to go up, and in a significant way. We're just waiting for this market to turn. And when it does, I think XRP will continue to outperform in the correct environment. Charles Gasparino, I don't like to give him coverage because he's just a troll, but I think this is an important part. He's saying, listen, Judge Torres, her ruling, well, it's bad law. It establishes a lower disclosure standard for retail investors than it does for institutional investors. He says, this is just a nonsensical rule. Now, I like what David Schwartz said. He says, you not being able to understand basics, that's a you problem. That's not a bad law. But when we really think about it, what is the Howey test? When Howey Company sold oranges on the market to enhance its biz, this is what Charles Gasparino has made this enhance your biz test. He's like a, Hinman 2.0, just making his own. When they sold oranges, they didn't register that, did they? They didn't go to the SEC and say, when we sell our commodity on the market, we're going to register that activity. Retail investors or retail users of oranges, they weren't protected. Only when they raised capital for institutions. Same thing with Ripple. When they raise capital from institutions and they wrap that in contracts that mirrored securities offerings, that needed to be registered, but not the sale of XRP. It is literally the exact same situation as the Howey company and the Howey test, just for the modern era. Judge Torres' ruling makes tons of sense. It is as good as you can get. It perfectly mirrors the spirit of Howey Company. Now, of course, I think we need updates to that, and the SEC, we're going to talk about that. They're looking to do exactly that. But this guy, just because he can't understand simple things, look, I'm no securities attorney. Let's be clear about that. And I don't proclaim to be, but this is pretty simple. You sell a commodity, you don't need to register. When you raise money from institutions, there you do. I mean, this is pretty easy to see. And further, you're not protecting institutions anymore. They can just go on the open market and buy XRP direct, just like anyone else. Just because it's an institution, you don't need to register. Only if you're raising capital from them, wrapping that transaction in contracts, mirroring the, offering a security essentially. This is as simple as it gets. And Charles Gasparino, either he's really dumb or he's just trolling us. I'm not sure which one. Both are equally likely. Now, Hester Pierce, she wants crypto rules baked in. And she's making a big push here, saying the agency must stop relying on vague guidance. We got to have clear rules of the road and instead create rules through SEC rulemaking and actually laws being passed by Congress. And that's so important because, look, this current makeup of the SEC, it ain't always going to be here. Now, we need to make sure that if things pivot back and you get another reptilian like Gary Gensler, that those rules are already passed and they can't do anything about it. We have to strike now while the iron is hot to protect the future of cryptocurrencies. And she says, look, I hope people won't be sitting around thinking about the Howey test in the future. They shouldn't need to. There should be clear rules specifically for crypto. This is a new asset class with new attributes, and it needs to be addressed directly. And she says it's time to build confidence, not fear. So those people that want to follow the rules, they can. They can follow the rules. And you can't just do whatever you want. There's rules, they're clear, but the Ripples, the Circles, the Coinbases, these are billion-dollar enterprises. They're not going to fall outside the lines, I can tell you that. Lastly, incoming SEC Chair Paul Atkins, he currently owns $6 million in crypto. So almost everyone in this administration is pro-crypto, and they have some stake in this game. And Paul Atkins has quite a bit. Now, he's going to have to divest out of that when he's confirmed, but this is someone that understands, values this industry, and has money of his own invested a significant amount, 6 million. And this is what's interesting. Even though he owns millions in crypto, he doesn't own a single Satoshi of Bitcoin. He's not a maxi. He has investments in Securitize and Anchorage Digital, so the actual businesses there. And he has between 1 and 5 million in off-chain capital, a crypto investment fund, where they invest across the broader crypto space. So this is someone that gets it, that altcoins have value. He has a significant amount of his money in this type of stuff, and that they will use this technology to build the future. And I think we're going to get some really great regulations out of this incoming SEC makeup, especially once you get Paul Atkins in there. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.